All right. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Living Well Community, your home for interactive and on-demand wellness programming created and curated by Harvard Pilgrim Healthcare and Tufts Health Plan. I'm Jon Roberts. This is our Thursday morning mindfulness practice session. Now, most Thursdays, as you may know, your guide for these sessions is Tara Healy, but Tara is enjoying some well-deserved shore leave at the moment, and so I have the honor of leading us today, and I'm very happy to be with you and doing so this morning. Hope everyone is doing well, and for those of us in New England, I hope you are enjoying this at least temporary break in the heat wave. So we'll be starting off here with a guided meditation practice that will be between 10 and 15 minutes in length. After that, I will be offering a few thoughts related to why we practice mindfulness, drawn from my own experience. And there will, of course, be time for questions and comments from all of you as well, should any questions or comments arise. And should they arise, I will invite you to use the chat feature, which is built into Zoom, to put them in, to zoom them over to me and everyone else. All right, moving into practice then. Now, throughout what follows, I will be offering suggestions for how we might consider directing or orienting our practice this morning. And in between those suggestions, there will be periods of silence. All right, so first off, we want to get ourselves into a position which is straight, but not too rigid, not too tense, a position that is at the same time not so loose that we feel like we're kind of dragging ourselves down. So sometimes I like to start by tilting my head very far back and then slowly bringing it forward until I reach a point where it feels like everything is in good alignment. And this is applicable whether you are sitting on a chair or a cushion, kneeling with a meditation bench, or as I am standing, or even lying down. I think it's also important to pay attention to how one is holding the hands. Now, if you're letting them hang too loosely, I find this can put a slight strain on the shoulders, and that kind of strain can become intrusive feeling over a period of time, over the sort of period of time that we'll be meditating this morning. So for me, it works best to keep one hand sort of cupped in the other and both hands drawn in pretty close to the body so they are not producing any sort of drag on the neck or the shoulders. And most importantly, and especially during the first few minutes of practice, if you find there are slight adjustments that you feel you need to make in order to bring yourself towards a greater sense of alignment, please do so. It's a bit like when you get a rental car and you need to spend a few minutes figuring out where the seat adjustment controls are, what each of them do, and which ones you need to use in order to get into the right driving position. So please do make any sort of little adjustments that you need to right away or as we go forward, just so you can keep yourself feeling in a state of stability and centeredness. All right, so keys in the ignition and starting the engine. Unlike when you're driving, your eyes can be open or closed, with the idea here being that you are trying to avoid soliciting any visual distractions. This is especially important given that many of us humans are primed to privilege visual input over a more inward leaning experience. So the eyes can be closed or they can be open. If they are open, let's keep them gazed downward, not inviting in any visual stimulation. I'd like to invite us to take a deep breath through the nose, as deep as you like. You can count along as you do this, breathing in and counting to 4, 6, or 8, whatever feels comfortable. And then breathing out also through the nose, at a slow enough pace that you surpass the number you counted to while breathing in. This sort of long in and longer out breathing invites the body to relax. It invites the body to sort of ride along with the breath, as though you were in a chairlift or gondola, slowly but securely and assuredly being pulled along. So let's do this a few times. Long in, longer out, at whichever pace feels right to you. Then now letting the breath fall into a more natural pace, letting it breathe as it wants to breathe. And as we practice this morning, I'd like to suggest giving thought to a few things: how we got here, where we are now, and where we are headed. So, how we got here. Take a moment and call to mind some of the things, some of the pieces that had to come together to bring you to this moment of mindfulness practice. Maybe you have a job that offers you the flexibility to meditate before work, or that even encourages it. Who helped you get this job? Or who helped lift you towards the place where you felt confident taking it on? Which teachers, mentors, coworkers supported you? Who else? Maybe you have a partner or spouse who offered to get the kids off to school so you could have this time to meditate, or who offered to work in a different room so you could have this space of reflection to yourself. Who told you about mindfulness practice in the first place? If you read books about it, who wrote those books? Who wrote the books those writers read? Who were the teachers and mentors who supported them? And in bringing to mind some of the countless people who helped lift us to this moment, see if there is a sensation that comes forth to accompany it. A feeling of warmth or expansiveness in the chest, maybe, or at the temples. Maybe a slight smile spontaneously occurs at the edges of your mouth, or a sense of relaxing We're sinking into the support of the earth beneath us. The earth, which is the foundation for all the other supports that we encounter in our lives. Now, where are we now? The breath, which we were counting with some deliberation before, with long inhale and an even longer exhale, where is the breath now? Curve your attention around to where the breath feels most observable in this moment. This may be at the rings of the nostrils, or in the channels within the nose, or at the place where your belly meets your shirt. Just be with the breath, monitoring its rising and falling without judgment or intrusion, without trying to micromanage it. Just be with it, like how you might sit beside your child or your parent or a friend or your dog, perhaps placing your arm around them. Or maybe in this moment, it feels more like your breath is putting its arm around you, like the breath is the big spoon. You've known it all your life. It has supported you all your life. It feels easier. You can choose to direct your attention not towards the breath, but instead towards one of the many, many places where your body makes contact with the world. This could be the feeling of your toes in the hooks of your carpet, or the closed gap where one finger rests against the other. It could be the sites where your body makes contact with the space around it. Maybe the forearm where it is struck by the breeze of a fan. Could also be a place where pulsing is particularly knowable. The chiming of the blood miraculously coursing through every inch of this body upon a kind of organic superhighway that sprung up from just a handful of cells. Now and again, a thought may stick a toe into the waters of your concentration. It is not necessary to force these thoughts from view, but it is also not necessary to indulge them. They are like uh, birds or squirrels which might approach you in a park or in your backyard if you are staying so still that you do not appear to be a threat to them. Eventually, the bird, the squirrel, the thought completes its business and moves along. You do not need to scare them away. You do not need to follow them. You are not Alice. They are not an enchanted rabbit. For a moment, you are simply occupying the same patch of awareness. And then they move on. Where are we headed? So, as we bring this meditation, as we begin to bring this meditation to a close, what is it you would like to carry forward through your day? Maybe a feeling of closeness, closeness to yourself, to your physical form, to the people around you who have helped lift you along the path, your path. Feeling of belonging, belonging with the people meditating with us this morning, appreciation, appreciation to yourself for having taken this time. Alternately, you may carry forward an awareness that your mind is not particularly calm today, but maybe squirrely. There may be more squawking in your mind than soothing tones at the moment, and that's okay. It is a profound gift to be aware of the state that your mind is in any given moment. That is the awareness that allows you to steer your actions with the greatest accuracy and effectiveness. And so in a moment, I will count backwards from 5. When I reach 1, please feel free to open your eyes as we bring this meditation to a close. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. So as I mentioned before, folks, I welcome any questions or comments that may have arisen or are arising for you now. But in the meantime, I want to say a few words about how I've been thinking about mindfulness showing up in my own life recently. So last week, I had the chance to take some time off to visit friends and family in the Midwest, during which time I found myself with my son at the beach at the Indiana Dunes National Park along the coast of Lake Michigan. It was a beautiful day, not too hot, not too cold. The beach was not too crowded. The people there seemed to be in a nice mood. We had snacks, we had shovels, everything was good to go. And at some point, as he was getting up from the blanket, my son accidentally kicks sand in my face. Do I get mad? I do not get mad. This is not his fault, after all. What would be the point in getting angry? What sort of a fool would waste his time getting angry about such a thing. Everything is just so pleasant. But now, skip ahead to a few days later. We're all back home. It's breakfast time. It's already 85 degrees inside my house. I'm trying to sort out all the things I need to do for work, which have piled up while I was away, while also getting my son ready for his first day of summer camp. Meanwhile, I just read on my phone that apparently our country is now at war with Iran. Amidst all of this, my son reaches for his milk and spills it on the table. And do I get mad? I do get mad. This is his fault, I think. It is my responsibility to get angry about this. What fool wouldn't get angry about this? Everything is dirt. So what has changed? You may already be drawing the conclusion, which I eventually drew, which is this. It's easy to go easy when things are going easy. On the other hand, it's hard to go easy when things are going hard. And so can mindfulness help? Well, I'll state the obvious bummer up front. Mindfulness practice is not going to make it so that every moment feels like a day at the beach, though I should qualify that statement by saying that mindfulness practice can help us sink more deeply into a sense of gratitude and appreciation and even wonder for how pleasant the world can be when it is being pleasant, so that we don't risk losing hold of those uplifting, supercharging moments, letting them skitter past like stingrays skimming the surface of the ocean. But mindfulness is not going to cause pleasant moments to spontaneously arise. It may affect them, but it cannot affect them. What mindfulness can do is help us be attentive to signs within ourselves, signs outside of ourselves, suggesting that stormy skies may be ahead so that we can take cover or otherwise act accordingly. And in this, when we practice mindfulness, we are becoming sort of like skilled sailors. Suffice it to say, I think you would not necessarily declare a sailor to be skilled if all they knew how to do was to guide their boat amidst perfect conditions. The skilled sailor knows what to do when imperfect conditions rise up unannounced, and perhaps the most skilled sailor knows how to read the signs around themselves, indicating that imperfect conditions are emerging, so they can avoid those conditions altogether or take evasive actions earlier than their less skilled counterparts might do. And in doing so, the skilled sailor ensures that the boat does not get capsized, that the mast does not snap, that the boat does not sink. They ensure that the boat endures. And this could involve discerning subtleties in the color of the sky, tracking the temperature of the air, how it's changing over time, the direction of the wind. In meditation, we are doing something a little bit similar. We are studying the swells within ourselves, what thoughts happen to be arising, how rapidly they're arising. Are they breaking upon the shore and receding, or are they forming a whirlpool that might suck us in? What physical sensations have appeared on the horizon? Maybe a heat at the chest, tightness around the temples, moving down the jaw to the neck to the shoulders. Just as importantly, what outside conditions are likely to be influencing these inner swells? And are those outside conditions present now? We make a study of this sort of thing so we know how to keep ourselves and keep those around us as safe as possible in whichever sort of moment we find ourselves in. And that can involve different things. That might involve lashing yourself to the mast and just white knuckling your way through. Like if my son spills the milk, maybe I have to literally grit my teeth in order not to yell at him, but grit my teeth I will. I'm going to muscle my way through the desire to overreact and instead just clean up the milk, ask him to be more careful. The right decision may be to evade the worst parts of the storm by heading for the shore. Like my son spills the milk and I say to myself, okay, I need to get out of here for a moment. I need to go to the other room, take a few deep breaths, take a beat before I decide what I'm going to do about this. Maybe you need to send an SOS. Like my son spills the milk and I call my wife over and I say, I need some help dealing with this right now because I'm feeling a bit overwhelmed. We don't always get perfect conditions, but that doesn't mean that we can't bring ourselves back to shore in one piece as long as we have practiced reading and responding to the signs within ourselves and signs outside of ourselves in the sorts of practices that we do here, and like the practice that we just did earlier together. Thank you for your comments. Oh, interesting. Our visions during meditation, good, bad, expected. Toward the end, a strong memory of hiking, looking at a huge vista with the bright sunshine. It was surprisingly real to me. So many things are going to come up during meditation. Things from the past. One of our favorite teachers, Joseph Goldstein, who is now in his mid-70s, has talked about as he meditates now, sometimes things will get dredged up from his childhood, which he didn't remember remembering, things that he hadn't thought about maybe in 70 years that just kind of pop in. And this is perfectly fine, perfectly normal. The mind is a machine that just generates thought. It's just a lot of neurons bouncing around, bringing up things that have occurred to us, things that might occur to us. And it's okay to, it's okay to recognize these. And if it's a nice memory, it's okay to take a moment to appreciate it, to appreciate that you had this moment, or that you have a brain that can produce these wonderful images, wonderful memories. But then the instruction will be just to let it go. Recognize that it is there, perhaps apply some appreciation, some gratitude, and then just let it pass on. Don't dwell in it. There are times when it's wonderful to dwell in memories. If I'm sitting in my hammock on my back porch, that's a great time maybe just to sit and sort of swim in memory. But what we're doing here is we're practicing doing the opposite, recognizing when something like a memory has occurred, and then just letting it pass along, sort of just stepping aside and letting it move along. Thank you so much for that comment. All the comments. Now, folks, we are approaching time, but before we close, I want to tell you about something which I'm especially excited about, which are the mindfulness sessions that we have scheduled for every Tuesday afternoon, 12 p.m. to 12:30 p.m. Eastern. We've been calling these Tuesday sessions, and we'll continue to call them Mind the Moment in Everyday Life. And up to this point in 2025, we've had them focusing on different topics each month, topics like mindful gardening, mindful parenting, mindfully setting intentions, mindfully engaging with nature. But starting this Tuesday, July 1st, and continuing for the foreseeable future, we will be focusing on a different question each week, and we'll be sourcing those questions from participants, as well as the members of our Facebook group, as well as the members in Point 32 Health's various health plans and other folks as well. And the guiding teacher for these Tuesday sessions will be Jessica Mori, my friend, longtime friend of our program, who is also, in my humble opinion, one of the premier mindfulness teachers working today, especially in terms of how she just has this wonderful way of offering very clear and creative instruction, presenting novel ways of thinking about how mindfulness practice can support us in dealing with all the stuff that surfaces as we go about living these lives of ours. So I'm going to drop into the chat the links you can use to access these Tuesday sessions. And as we approach time here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn off my camera. I'm going to leave this the session open in case you want to either access or copy and paste those links. And then in a couple minutes, I'll actually end the session. But I'd just like to thank everyone for your time, your attention, and your practice this morning. It's been wonderful to be with you. Thank you so much. And we do hope to see you again soon.